From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check updated 2021. Overnight, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, Jalapal, and Bob Casey all talk about the $3.5 trillion recon that passed in that House subcommittee 2 weeks ago. All the latest comments from Bernie, who says it's time to get this done. Jalapal, who proposes a way to get it to the finish line. Pelosi, who sets a date. And Bob Casey, who has more money for my seniors and my SSDI. Oh boy, this is all major breaking news you're hearing on Mornings. Then we go over what the president is doing to protect the recon and what the president's looking for and why that's part of the ingredients to get it over the finish line. New news as the Port of Long Beach and the Port of Los Angeles will be the subject of a press conference from the President of the United States within just minutes. Why? What's going on? This is all about your money and money across the board. We're going to be cutting to COLA that now is getting 5 to 6% raise, and this is huge. I'll explain what's going on for your benefits and fifth stimulus. Then we'll be cutting back to the big surprise as an additional sum of money that no one saw coming. $25,000 is being added to the recon if Maxine Waters has her way. This is $15,000. This is $25,000 for you on top of those IRS stimulus checks that the legislators represent they're adding in there, on top of a recon that'll pay you about $15,000 if you're viewing this channel. We got a lot coming up. We have a lot of breaking news. It's a jam-packed day with a lot of major developments overnight. And this is Mornings LALATE. Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day, and wherever you are, I hope the weather is good in this fourth stimulus check update 2021. A lot of breaking news overnight. Nancy Pelosi has a press conference, talks about your recon and talks about the roads and bridges and talks about dates and how they're modifying the recon. All the latest updates from Nancy. Then Bernie Sanders speaks out about the recon, the moderate Democrats, and new insight about what the moderate Democrats do and don't want in that recon. It's coming up also in this recording. Jalapal speaks out, and I guess I should change my middle name to Jalapal because she repeats literally everything verbatim, which I've reported on this channel exclusively over the last 3 days. She repeats it in a press conference late yesterday. Bob Casey speaks out and talks about an additional massive cash infusion, hundreds of $billions he's proposing to add to that recon for seniors, for SSI and SSDI. Yes, it looks like fifth stimulus, but it's in fourth stimulus. It's huge. It's happening. And this is on top of that other exclusive that came from Bob Casey's office. You're going to hear in this recording. You ain't going to hear it anywhere else about where is Medicare being dropped to. Maxine Waters proposing $25,000 of checks directly to you up front. This is huge. How do you get this extra sums of money? A recon passed $3.5 trillion that pays viewers of this channel about $15,000. I'll go over those checks as well. We'll go over the IRS stimulus checks. We'll go over the breaking news about student loan debt forgiveness. We'll go over the breaking news about the ports and reopening them, and also COLA. Can we get that all in a few minutes? I think I'm going to try my best. We got a lot in this recording, and it all starts right now. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers is a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. This is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America, in covering all the incredible breadth of reporting you're not going to see anywhere, all in a single recording throughout the day. Coming up next is Noontime LALATE. This video will automatically take you there. Then 1 o'clock's afternoons, and then 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock's afternoons. So subscribe, like this video, and consider becoming a member. Let's first cut to this $3.5 trillion recon that passed in a subcommittee of the House 2 weeks ago. It is 3 clusters of checks to start with, and those 3 clusters of checks from viewers of this channel will get them about $15,000, no matter whether the recon runs 10 years or 5 years. First cluster checks are hazard pay and $4,000 for elder care. Let's go over all the details. That Hazard pay got in there. They're taking the earned income tax credit and broadening the eligibility and increasing the payment so you get more money across the board. $4,000 of elder care got in there as well per year. $4,000 a year to care for a young child. Home grant money, yes. If you live in a low-income community, free money to repair your home. Wow, incredible. Then they got money in there for the college student directly to them, to the university, and the Pell's grant made tax-free. Guess what? $51,000 of monthly stimulus checks got in there as well. This is the CTC, the child tax credit, broadening the eligibility and increasing the amount of money. $300 a month every month for 18 years if that household is low income. That's $51,000 a child. And then money for bikes, cars, and trucks, all electric, all U.S. auto manufactured. Up to 15% for the purchase price of a new electric bike, $7,500 for a new electric car, and a little bit more if it's for business use or if it's a truck. In a second, we're going to go over the second and third cluster of checks, but let's remember, this recon is for all of you. It's for all viewers of this channel, single individuals, married couples, children, no children, SSI, SSDI, red states, blue states, and viewers of this channel look forward to getting about $15,000 annually from this recon. I'll show you how to do it when it becomes law. But on top of that are proposed other items, and you're ready for this one? I think you are. $25,000 being proposed on top of all that. Wow, where did that come from? It came from Maxine Waters, Raphael Warnock, and also Sharon Brown. Yesterday, they proposed legislation to be added to the recon that would pay Americans $25,000 for the purchase price of a new home. This eligibility is only for new home buyers. It's huge. Viewers asking me yesterday late night how I think they would do this. I think the way they would do this is during escrow, when you're about to buy the house, HUD would make a payment to the seller of $25,000 on your behalf, so you only have to pay the remainder of the selling price. There you go. This is huge, and it's being added in there. Now let's go to the second cluster of checks. Those second cluster of checks remind us that this recon is for everyone and is not COVID related. Has in there more home repairs and also paid leave. 12 items in this second cluster, and boy, they're deliciousness. Paid family and medical leave. $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. $800 a week if you make $35,000 a year. $400 a week if you make $15,000 a year. This is family leave. You have to stay home because your wife is pregnant. Medical leave. You have to stay home because your son broke his leg. Then they got household tax credits. They got also checks for seniors, and then they got child care program checks. But guess what? They also got in there more checks for the home. That is weatherizing your home checks. Wow, definitely need those checks to weatherize your home, especially if the moderate Democrats are on the roof. As I always say, weatherize your home to keep the moderate Democrats out of the House, and wherever possible, keep the moderate Democrats out of the Senate. Then they also got checks in there for free community college classes, and also checks in there for pre-kindergarten. Well, there you go. Now, before we get to the third cluster of checks and the other clusters, let's go over what happened with Congress overnight. Lots of breaking news you're hearing for the first time today. First, Bernie Sanders came out firing, saying it's absolutely incumbent upon the senators and the members of Congress in opposition to start telling us what we want. He also said that it's imperative that we not negotiate against ourselves. What's at issue? At issue is that the moderate Democrats have been very much not telling the progressives what they want to do with the recon. Do they like it? Do they not like it? What provision do they not like? Where do they want to go? And while we talk about bringing the recon from $3.5 trillion down, the moderate Democrats haven't said where exactly. Two insights we've gotten. One, Kristen Sinema doesn't like the prescription medication, covered in the third cluster, coming up in a second. And Joe Manchin doesn't like the climate, not really covered on this channel. Now, that was Bernie Sanders. Pelosi had a series of comments yesterday. Her series of comments yesterday talked about the surface ground transportation deadline, a faux deadline. Why do I say faux deadline? Because that's what Jalopal says. The faux deadline is something that comes up in October 31st, and that surface transportation deadline can be extended because it was extended once before. Nancy Pelosi and the President of the United States have set October 31st as a deadline to potentially call the vote on the roads and bridges and the recon. What's the reaction to that? Let me go over the details. Nancy Pelosi last night said, "We have some important decisions to make in the next few days so that we can proceed. At $3.5 trillion, we are doing everything as well, which we're decided to do a few other items. Bernie Sanders coming back and saying, we're prepared to negotiate, but we're prepared to compromise, but we're not going to negotiate against ourselves. Why did he say that? Because he doesn't want to reduce things unless he knows what the moderate Democrats want. Jalapal came out and said what I said about that surface ground transportation deadline, faux deadline of October, that it's fake. We all are working as quickly as possible. Obviously, the short-term surface transportation extension can be extended if we need to. Steny Hoyer, as House Majority Leader Democrat, said it's everybody that needs to get it done. The responsibility is there. So what did Nancy Pelosi talk about yesterday? What I expected her to say. There is a two-path process to what Nancy Pelosi is looking at. And we're going to go over this more in the File 15 minutes video. Stay to the very end. We have a lot in this video. She's talking about a two-path process. One, potentially removing some programs, or two, just changing the duration. And I believe it's going to be done on the duration. I'll have more about that in a second. Meantime, also, on another front, Bob Casey spoke yesterday, and he's that senator. He's the senator I talk a lot on this channel, and Bob Casey came out and said that the incredible thing is that he wants to dedicate $250 billion of additional money through Medicare for older people and people on disability. This is a big one. Again, this is another add-on to the recon, not in there. What is he trying to do? He's trying to spend $250 billion additional money for people on SSI and SSDI. And the notion of why it's good is the following. Not only is it money directly to you, but it would provide you services, home health care, for example, so that you would not have to have your son and daughter stay home from the workplace and care for you. It's trying to allow that younger generations can go back into the workplace and work. Your 40 or 50-year-old daughter or son can go back in the workplace and not have to stay at home and care for you, because now they'll have home health care provided in there as well. What does Casey say? He says with our caucus, it's required that we constantly repeat ourselves. Bob Casey, why do you keep on recording the same video? Because they don't understand me, LA. Meantime, the President of the United States is expected to speak moments from now about the Port of Los Angeles. Here in Los Angeles, there's 60 cargo ships that are backed up in the county of Los Angeles at our port and the county of Los Angeles port. Why is this big? Because it's causing your inflation. It's causing your inflation. FedEx, UPS, Walmart, Samsung, Target, and Home Depot have literally now sent their trucks to the ports here in Los Angeles because they cannot get merchandise out to you. This is big because going into the holiday season. The president will announce that the Port of Los Angeles will remain open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the first time ever, and also the Marine Exchange of Southern California is keeping Long Beach open so that you can get merchandise to keep that inflation down. Now let's turn to the third cluster checks, and here we go. I told you got a lot in this recording. We're just getting started. The third cluster checks are money for seniors and also free internet. The incredible details is that the following. There's a lot of money in this third cluster. Free school meals for all checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, checks for farmers, checks for free internet, checks for green energy, checks for workers, checks for Medicare, like dental, vision, hearing care, and lowering eligibility for Medicare. Well, a lot of exclusives I got for you in this third cluster starting right now. Number one, I can exclusively report via Lorica, viewer of this channel, and Bob Casey's office again, the guy that's fighting for that SSI reform for you in force stimulus, that Bob Casey is looking to drop the Medicare eligibility age from 65 to 60. You're hearing it only on this channel. This is in the recon. Number two, Kristen Sinema says she's not in favor of the cheaper prescription medication. Very fascinating and very interesting how this cheaper prescription medication works. It would basically slash the prices of the prescriptions when you go to the pharmacy. Finally, they're going to get free internet. Yes, all you do is reach out to your city, county, state that will launch their own internet company funded by the federal government. What's the username? The username is McConnell Lobster Sauce Deliciousness 202. The password, Nancy Pelosi $12 ice cream. There you go. In a second from now, we cut more to what's going on with these other sums of money. But now let's cut over to that IRS stimulus check. What do we have? We have an incredible recon that's 3.5 trillion, which over 3 clusters so far would pay most viewers of this channel about $15,000 a year. And as soon as it becomes law, I'm going to show you how to get this money. This is what I do. I got viewers $40,000 on average from third stimulus. I'm going to do this to get you money under fourth stimulus as well. But there's a push underway to add those monthly stimulus checks in there as well. And who is bung the push? Chuck Schumer. He's the majority leader in the Senate, and he told Debbie Applegate going into last weekend, or at least the staff did, and he told Donnie's wife of the week before that he is putting that IRS stimulus check monthly in there. That's on top of Schumer, Casey, and Warren and Wyden, and thousands of viewers being told the same thing. This is big because let's go over the playing field and how they get things done. We have a recon in the subcommittee of a House, not a bill. Next step, putting it to a House floor bill. It could be in there. If it's not in there, they could still modify it before the House votes. Then when the House votes, it goes over to the Senate. If it's still not in there, the senators go last. And this is why it's huge, because Chuck Schumer's in your corner. Chuck Schumer is the majority leader of the Senate. Chuck Schumer governs the 2-day voting process at the very end, called a vote-a-rama. During the vote-a-rama, they introduced amendments or changes to whatever given to them from the House. Not in there, they can introduce those amendments. Who determines the vote-a-rama? Chuck Schumer. Who determines what amendments are called? Chuck Schumer. Who determines when the amendments are called? Chuck Schumer. And who wants to give you a monthly IRS stimulus check? Chuck Schumer. It's just starting to get heated up this morning's broadcast. We have a lot coming up in the second half. We have more about that. $25,000 directly to you in top of this 3 clusters, a page about $15,000. We have more about that Bob Casey fifth stimulus type reform of SSI and SSDI going into fourth stimulus right now. It's a big surprise. No one saw this coming. We have the incredible details of where they're modifying stuff on the recon. Brand new statements, brand new, you haven't heard till today, from Jolipal, AOC, Jolipal, Pelosi, and Bernie. And then we have more insight as to what's coming up next. And then we have student loan debt forgiveness. We have COLA, which had a major breaking news developed overnight. I'll explain COLA. In the face of fifth stimulus reform, it's all coming up, including a raise of your SSI and SSDI and Social Security benefits in the next few days, not weeks. And then I'm going to show you how to go into the weekend with thousands of dollars. It's all coming up as Mornings LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now, live from Santa Monica, on Mornings LA, with a lot of breaking news. Everything from student loan debt forgiveness to big money being added to the recon to money for you if you're on Social Security and SSDI with the new COLA news announced minutes ago. There's a lot coming up, and we're just getting started as we go into the second half of this recording. So much across the board as the President and Pelosi and Jolipal figuring out how to bring the recon to a place in which it is passable. I'll go over all the details on what you need to know. Starting right now, we'll be turning back to third stimulus, and also we'll be turning to fifth stimulus, because some viewers had brilliant questions overnight. What about COLA versus where fifth stimulus is going, and what about Bob Casey versus where fifth stimulus is going? It's a lot, and it's a busy news cycle, and it's a busy day, and this is LALATE, so subscribe. Coming up next is Noontime LALATE, live on air at 11 a.m. It should be taped on air at 11 a.m., then Afternoons LALATE at 1, a new Afternoons LALATE at 3, and then an Evenings LALATE at 5. So subscribe. I want you part of this incredible family. You're not going to see the breadth of reporting anywhere else besides this channel. I'm going to show you later in this recording how to get thousands of dollars today, this week, from this channel, because this is what we do. We don't track checks, and we cash them. That brings us to what happened overnight. Overnight, the President, Pelosi, Bernie, and Jalapal all talked about where they're going with this recon. What's important to understand is that we have that October 31st date that Nancy Pelosi announced. Why did she announce that date? For calling the vote for the roads and bridges by that date. Roads and bridges and the recon by that date. Because of a surface ground transportation item expiring that date. It's a faux deadline. But if the deadline works for us, we like it. So what did they talk about in their press conferences yesterday? Number one, Bernie said, I'm not negotiating against myself. Why did he say that? Because the moderate Democrats have really still not said what they want to do with the recon. They're very mum about the situation. Although Kristen Sinema says she wants the prescription medication out and Joe Manchin wants the climate out. Not too much of an issue there. Then we have the president with new insight you're hearing for the first time today. Really, when the president went into this recon drafting, he wanted to have programs that would last 1 to 2 generations of years so that people would look back and say, that was a program that lasts many decades. That's not going to happen. Earlier this week, I told you that I thought that when Bernie asked for a $7 trillion recon, he was looking at 20-year programs because that's what the president wanted. That appears now to be the case. Why? Because I had told you that at 3.5 trillion, where we are now, it looked like that most of the programs were 10 years. Guess what Jalapal said over, and that they could reduce the programs from 10 years to less, like 5 years. Guess what Jalapal said overnight? She said we can reduce the programs from 10 years to a smaller number. I think I should just change my middle name to Jalapal. It's just like everything I say on here, Jalapal says the next day. It's just incredible. Here's what Jalapal said late yesterday. We all want to work as quickly as possible, and obviously the short-term surface transportation can be extended if we need to. So number one, she says a faux deadline. Then when she talked about how long the programs run, she said the following. We would reduce the number of years because the universality and the immediacy of the programs and benefits are absolutely critical. And frankly, it's more important to us than having the entire 10 years. What's at issue? What's at issue is the following. If you're looking at something like $4,000 of elder care, Bernie originally was looking at 20 years because that's what the president wanted. He wanted to run many generations. I had told you, I was speculating or exclusive reporting that I thought most of the programs were going to run at 10 years at 3.5 trillion. Now we got confirmation from Jalapal today. Most of the programs are at 10 years currently in the recon. So what do? Just cut the duration shorter. 5 years, which would bring the price tag potentially down to 1.7 trillion on the recon. Done. That's a price tag that the moderate Democrats like. So what did Pelosi say overnight about the situation? A two-prong approach. Now, I got to give her credit. I would have said the same thing. She has to be political. She has to appease everyone. She said we have two approaches. Keep programs as they are and reduce the duration, what Jalapal said. Or remove some programs and have less programs that run longer durations. No, not going to happen. That doesn't make sense to, let's say, go from 10 programs at 10 years to 3 programs at 10 years. No. Just keep all 10 programs in there and run them at 5 years. That's what Bernie said a few days ago. That's what Jalapal said a few days ago. So what that means is that we have a recon with 3 clusters in there, 1, 2, 3. That'll pay viewers about $15,000 for this channel each year. I'm going to show you how you get this money as soon as it becomes a law. And we'll continue to pay you the money each year. And what Jalapal says is Americans need the money right now. We don't need watered down checks. Makes very simple sense. That's what I said as well. So I see Jalapal and Bernie really laser focused across the board. One of my concerns is the moderate Democrats are not saying what they don't like. I can tell you Sinema doesn't like the prescription medication and Manchin doesn't like the climate. Other than that, no one else knows what they don't like. Now, we do know if we got it to 1.7, it would be a done deal overnight. So I also don't understand why they're not doing it. But I do understand Barry's statement, which is, I'm not bringing it from 3.5 to 1.7 unless I have confirmation it's done at 1.7. I'm not saying he said that number, but he said, I'm not bringing it down to another number until I have confirmation that's a done deal at that number. People are silent on the other side. Now, let's go over to the big exciting details, which is that all these things are being proposed to be added into the recon and can be added into the recon. Those monthly stimulus checks, Sanders, Schumer, Warren, Casey, Coons, the Casey, SSI, and SSDI reform being added to forced stimulus, not fist stimulus. You're hearing for the first time in this recording. More money for seniors and people on disability. Number 3, the $25,000 to go buy a house. Number 4, items that a lot of which I don't even know that were actually in the recon are already in the recon. $300 billion is apparently also in the recon. I did not know for money for housing. This is a lot. There's a lot of money for rent, $300 billion, and that's why Maxine Waters spoke out to protect it overnight. Now, let's go over to what's going on with the surprise about student loan debt forgiveness. No one saw this coming. Student loan debt forgiveness got more debt forgiven in the last few days. Initially, the president forgave student loans to individuals who had gone to university and then graduated and became disabled thereafter. Now the president's forgiving student loan debts for individuals who went into the nonprofit sector for 10 years after graduation, number 1, and also forgiving complete debts of those individuals who went into working for government or local agencies like city, county, state, federal government for 10 years after graduation. Your debts are now wiped away. The president's now also saying this week he'll forgive $10,000 of student loan debts for people across the board. Liz and Chuck are still pushing for $50,000. Now let's turn to the great news with COLA that no one saw coming. COLA is getting additional cash and COLA is coming on in at 5 to 6%. What? Yeah, this is great. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, any federal program like that, and you get that monthly check, you know what happens about this time every year. They look at where your benefits are, and then they apply the benchmark, which under the existing law, before they do fist stimulus, is COLA. I am dumbfounded and shocked that COLA is coming in red hot at somewhere between 5 to 6%. This is insanely great news. This is amazing great news. Because since the month of August, I was reporting to you that with this stimulus reform, that you would be looking at inflation going to 5%, and that would raise your benefits up 5%. Now your benefits are going to be raised up just alone on the current system, no delays, the current system with the COLA benchmark about 5 to 6% at the end of this year. This is huge. Why is it so high? It's the highest number since the 1970s because inflation is running hot. Now, I got a lot of questions on Morning's Countdown this morning to explain, but wait a second, what does that do with this stimulus? Let me explain the details right now. This stimulus is legislation they would hope to get to a vote by December. If they get it to a vote by December, then it would swap out the benchmark for inflation. If they don't get it to a vote till next February, for example, your benefits would still go up instantly because that's step 1. Step 1 under the fifth stimulus is to first raise everyone's benefits up a lifetime one time. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits. This is after you get that 5% for COLA right now. So they first want to raise your benefits up a lifetime. Then, the next December after the legislation is passed, which maybe is this year, maybe it's next year, your benefits would step up based upon a new benchmark, and that's inflation. In the month of August, I had said that inflation is going to about 5% in December. Wall Street was saying 2%. I was on the high end. They were on the low end. Now I'm on the low end, and now they're seeing inflation may go to 10%. So this is really fascinating, and the benefit to it is you. Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. So you would get that lift up now under COLA, under the current existing system. Then when this becomes law, they'd raise your benefits up again one time. And then the following December, if that's when the first benefits under inflation are applied, you'll be raised up again. You never stepped out. That's a lot of raises, and it's wonderful. Then they're going to remove the asset cap dating back to the 1980s law that says you can't work and you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. It's going to go away. They're going to remove the asset cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and also stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away, and love is going to win. Now, if you've been with this channel for a while, you know what I talk about. I talk about cashing checks, not tracking checks. We had a wonderful chat last night on Evening's Countdown, the 6 o'clock show on this channel. Someone was in the live chat and say, I really hope they get this forced stimulus recon done right away. I need it for my bills. I was in the live chat, a lot of very nice people in the live chat, and everyone said, which bills do you need to pay? The viewer said, food. We said, wait a second. Don't wait for forced stimulus to be passed. Don't track that check. Cash checks right now for food. And that's what's important to understand. I'm going to show you in the next few minutes how to get lots of money right now and how to end this week with thousands of dollars potentially in your pocket that you aren't starting this week for. And one of the key messages which I say, and I'm going to say it a little bit tougher with more tough love over the next few days, is I have been doing this for over a year. And when I was live on camera, when I used to answer questions on camera, the most annoying question I would ever get is, there's no money in my city, county, state. Untrue, untrue, untrue. It means it's a person who doesn't want to make the call. I'm going to show you in a second viewers who made 7 phone calls, got 7 items approved, got $80,000. They didn't make one phone call. They made 7 phone calls to get 7 items, at least 7 phone calls. So get that pen and paper ready. I'm going to get you what? Rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, food, clothing, small appliances, holiday gifts, and more, starting right now. We're going to start first with money for rent. Rent is getting a new cash infusion of $13 billion from the federal government. Treasury sent an additional $13 billion. So every city, county, and state, red, blue, rich, and poor, or state will have this money guaranteed. And it was 2 weeks ago I started recording that, and last week Prino, wonderful viewer on this channel, heard my message. She picked up the phone and called and got $6,000 last week. She didn't have at the start of the week because of my recordings. She got money for 8 months for rent. So get that pen paper ready. I'm going to show you how to get these money for rent. First, I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to. They have different eligibility. They have different pots of money. Number 2, I want you to listen to the keywords I say in this video. And number 3, get ready for the nonprofits. All right, here are the 6 places you reach out to. Your city hall, your city house authority. Your county hall, your county house authority. Your state hall, and your state house authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID. Mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. And how much money can you get? This is about how much money you could get a month ago, but now it's going even higher. Nisi, $20,000 per ball. Elizabeth, $27,000, but now viewers like Jen getting $4,000. Yes, if you qualify for any type of stimulus coverage in this channel, you qualify for this rent. Next, I want you to reach out to all utility companies. So if you got 5, reach out to 5. And the utility numbers are going through the roof. Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000 approved a few days ago. This was the money for utilities a month earlier. Next, I want you to get money for SNAP. SNAP eligibility is a SNAP. It's easier than a stimulus check. If you qualify for an IRS stimulus check, you generally qualify for SNAP. If you get a statement otherwise, you probably said the wrong thing to them. SNAP you get from Department of Agriculture, and it pays a fortune. Everyone's benefits are going up an average of 25% lifetime, automatically, nationwide, every city, counties, and states. And yes, now you're going to 21. Mark's brother-in-law was at $21,000. Now he's going to $26,000. Then I want you to get multiple sums of money across the board. So viewers who have gotten multiple sums of money, you see it right here. These are people who made several phone calls. Lorraine, when you see $106,000, do you think Lorraine made 2 phone calls? No. She got about 6 to 10 items paid for. And sometimes you got the same item paid for in 2 different places. Here you go, Mark. He got 4 different items approved right here, but he made more than 4 phone calls. Next, get ready for those nonprofits. This is why I said just a second ago that anyone who says, I don't qualify for it, not available, not there, you're not making the effort to call. Trust me, you need to make the effort. I'm giving you a lot of tough love right now. I've been doing this since last year, and I know it happens around December. People are going to start to realize, I should have made the phone call. Make the phone call right now. Here are the 5 nonprofits. Number 1, the nonprofits pay for the same items as third stimulus, generally, but with different eligibility. So if you have an eligibility problem, reach out to the nonprofits. They help with rent, mortgage assistance, utilities, and here they are, the 5 nonprofits also featured in the newsletter: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. Number 2, the nonprofits also pay for items that are not covered in the recon packages. So they also pay for clothing sometimes. They also pay for housing for homeless people into shelter. They often pay for small appliances. Viewers of this channel have gotten refrigerators, furnaces, portable heaters as well. They often pay for food additionally. And that's why I want to lean on those nonprofits. Also, Salvation Army is doing holiday gifts right now. So don't wait till November, December to get those holiday gifts. Reach out to Salvation Army right now. Here again are the 5 nonprofits featured in the newsletter: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. What's important to understand is that as you sit back, it's important to understand that these sums of money are available right now. Do not be tracking a check. Do not be waiting and looking at a date on a calendar. Cash the money that is available for you right now, because guess what? You can get it. People always said back in April of last year, the reason why they were able to get their EI deals approved not only was with the content of the recordings that I made, but also the motivation. And I'm trying to give that motivation in a stronger language now on this channel than I have in recent days. I want you, with a lot of tough love, to not make any more excuses saying, I don't qualify for it. It's not for me. They don't pay it for these people. My sister's brothers, uncles, bakers, nephews, hairdresser said there's no money. Stop listening to your brothers, uncles, nephews, hairdressers, sisters, gardener. They don't know what they're talking about. I want you to make that effort, because guess what? You are going to be very happy when you get this money. Next, if you haven't become a member, what are you doing? The link is in the video. Become a member today, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP, and get that newsletter sent out to me Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It shows you how to get these big sums of money. What's important for you to understand is when we look at the 4 stimulus recon that Bernie, Nancy, and Jalapal are battling over, viewers this channel under the 3 clusters so far, before they add in the $25,000, before they add for the homes, before they add in those monthly IRS stimulus checks, before they add in any provision, you'll be getting about $15,000 from these items in this recon, 4 stimulus recon. As soon as it becomes law, I'm going to show you how to get the money. When third stimulus became law, I said I can get you about $15,000 as well. I undervalued it. Viewers got, on average from this channel, $40,000. If all you got from third stimulus was a $1,400 stimulus check and you're new to this channel, become a member. The newsletter features all the big money under first, second, and third stimulus for you to get, and that shows you how to get this big sums of money. Johnny and 3 other people started viewing this channel one particular week about a month ago with $0. By the middle of the week, all 3 of them had gotten $40,000. By the weekend, Johnny got $80,000 from third stimulus from watching this video. This money's still there. Johnny got that $80,000 from how many places? 7. You can get rent from different places. You can get utilities from several places. You can get food from items. Johnny got 7 different places paying him money. When we look at Mark, who got $50,000, Lorraine got $100,000, they didn't make one phone call and said, ma'am, we don't have money here. Sorry, we don't have money there. Okay, I'll just stop. I won't make any more phone calls. No, they called 7 to 8 places and they got this money. This is real money, and we're here to cash checks, not track checks. Meantime, let's go back over what's happening with this incredible series of developments today. Pelosi overnight said that she's really looking at a 2-path process to getting the recon from $3.5 trillion to a lower price tag. Either removing particular programs so that there's less programs that run 10 years, or just keeping all the programs in the recon paying out the same way they are, just shortening the duration. Jalapal said the second one should be done. I said the second one should be done. Bernie is not particularly clear on this subject matter because certain programs he is worried about cutting the duration, like shoring up Obamacare and Medicare. He doesn't want to shore it up for just a few years and then have to fix it again. So I understand where he is on that one. But I really do think that Jalapal and I are in this Vulcan mind melt, that the surface ground transportation date of late October is not a deadline. But if it works for us to get this things done, use it as a faux deadline to get people moving, that the best way to do it is take all the programs from 10 years, bring them into 5 years. So you get 100% of what the programs are proposed to pay out. You just don't get it for 10 years, you get it for 5 years. As Jalapal says, people need big cash infusions right now. That makes sense. I think it makes sense a lot as well. I think the president's desire to have programs running 20 years so it lives on his legacy, a decade after he leaves office, should not be really the focus. The focus should be the biggest cash infusion to Americans right now and stop focusing on things for 20 years from now. The Port of Los Angeles announcement from the president is big because there's a big concern about inflation. Products need to get into the stores for the holidays. And if they can't get products into the stores for the holidays, inflation is going to go through the roof. And inflation includes everything from your milk to your gas and your water. Bob Casey's comments are fascinating because the 61-year-old Pennsylvania Democrat, with trying to provide $250 billion of additional money for SSI and SSDI and seniors and shoring up Medicare is big because one, it'll be more money for you. Two, your daughter and your son or your nephew that's staying home for work to care for you wouldn't have to anymore. They would provide home health care and items like that. So now those people can go back in the labor workforce. It would have more productivity. Everyone would just be a bigger, happy camper. And then finally, the issue of really staying on point and adding things in there. With a recon that has about $15,000 a year for you under 3 clusters, items being proposed to be added, like $25,000 to purchase a new home, like monthly stimulus checks being proposed to be added, like items that I didn't even know were in there, $300 billion for rent and more, and also the Bob Casey SSI reform being added in there for 4th stimulus, not 5th stimulus. And with that, so much coming up on this channel. Earlier this morning will be Morning's Crypto, I believe, live on air, coming up next at 10 a.m. If not, join me on noontime at 11 a.m. This show will automatically take you to noontime at 11 a.m. Then I'm back with you new shows at 1, 3, and 5 o'clock. And with that, I want you part of this family, so subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Hit that subscribe button right now. You ain't going to see the breadth of the coverage anywhere, and I'm ensuring that you get as many checks as you can because we're here to cash checks, not to track them. I hope you stay with each of these recordings throughout the day because there is a lot of breaking news, and I'm showing you how to get these big sums of money like these cash infusion checks available right now. Consider becoming a member so you get that newsletter that goes out Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. And stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful morning because the toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and the coffee's brewing. And stay with LALATE.